us go to many meetings and conferences every year. And I must feel that you agree with me what I'm feeling today. I'm really awed by the brain trust, the expertise, and the energy in this room that spans huge gamut from molecules to biomechanics to mindset, and also from measuring performance in mice to elevating performance in elite athletes. And this is made possible by the vision of Joe and Clara, and thank you. So when the word circadian rhythm comes to you, the first thing that comes to us is light and darkness, and we are creatures of light and darkness. Daytime is for performance, and nighttime is for recovery and rest and recovery. And we know that our ancestors, hunter-gatherers and farmers, they got 7 to 8 hours of sleep. They usually went to bed 3 to 4 hours after sunset and woke up exactly around dawn. And we also know that athletes are often advised to sleep for 8 hours because that 7 to 8 hours of rest actually helps them to recover, react, and build resilience during activity during daytime. But then there is another cycle, that is the eating and fasting cycle. Now the question is there an optimum time? And the science of circadian rhythm gives us some clue, because in the morning, after we get up, melatonin, the night hormone declines, our cortisol reaches its peak. And in the evening, before we go to bed, again, melatonin begins to rise and our body cools down in preparation for sleep. And research in circadian rhythm has shown us that these periods in the morning and evening are actually not good for eating. So that leaves us with only 12 hours. And out of those 12 hours, maybe if we can compress that eating window to 8, 9, 10, then we have seen that there is a lot of research showing there is improvement in metabolic health. But then the question is, can this type of eating, which is called time-restricted feeding in animals, time-restricted eating in humans, and popularly intermittent fasting, does it have any impact on athletic performance? And we turned to mice. And the study design was very simple. We took mice, those are naive, they're not trained, and these young mice are given ad libitum access to diet, which I will call ALF, or time-restricted fed. So they were given the same number of calories every single day within a 9 hours interval at night time, because mice are nocturnal. And this was done for 10 weeks. But at the same time, we thought, well, since we're doing this experiment, we can try to change the diet. So we had what we call normal chow, which is used in all over the world in all mouse experiment. That's relatively rich in carbohydrate. And then we had high protein diet, that's 43% protein from calories from protein, and then high fat diet, that was 45% calories from fat. And this experiment went on for 10 weeks. So at the end of 10 weeks, and during this time, we're also measuring their food intake and their body weight. As you can see, the male mice actually gain weight under high-fat diet, but then the female mice don't have any change in body weight, and we measure them after 10 weeks. So now, here is the big mouse marathon, and guess which mouse will win. And to our surprise, what we found was, although all the female mice were same weight, the female mice on high protein diet ran only 800 meters, and the female mice on high fat time restricted ran almost 500% more. And to give it the perspective in terms of relative running, so we know that the male mice run slightly better than the female mice on normal chow, and performance improves. High protein diet actually reduces the endurance running, and but the time restricted eating kind of improved it. And then under high fat, all mice actually run better on high fat, and time restricted eating improves that. So there are a few takeaway messages. One is high protein males outrun females. The high fat females outrun males, and on normal chow, things depend on whether you're eating ad libitum or time restricted. And then relative to reference diet regimen, high fat improves running, and time restricted feeding always improved performance. But then the question is, can you do that in just 1 week? Because we are feeding for 8 to 10 weeks. So we just fed mice for 1 week on high fat diet, and then male mice improved slightly some performance, not significant statistically. The female mice doubled their performance with just 1 week of high fat diet. And what is interesting is if you look at the their lactate, actually at the end of the testing, they are not having high lactate. Then the next question was, if we do just 2 weeks of time-restricted feeding, then what happens? The male mice, again, they see modest improvement, and then the female mice also see modest improvement. So, sorry, male mice on high-fat diet, a significant improvement in 2 weeks. But for female mice, what is interesting is on normal diet, there is not much improvement if they're time-restricted fed, but the female mice on high-fat diet actually double their performance, and now they're running almost 5K. And what is interesting is in all diet where the performance improved, we also saw the lactate was not rising too high. So now the question is, well, since we're giving this diet, you might be thinking that are these mice active differently? And maybe they're kind of indirectly getting trained? The answer is no, their activity is very similar. But then we can actually measure the oxygen and CO2 consumption, and then what we find is when mice are on this time-restricted feeding, they switch back and forth between using carbohydrate and using fat. And that is called metabolic flexibility, and it seems that metabolic flexibility may be the key behind all this performance. And we see that in both male and female, and that's what is shown here. So these are the take-home messages that at least in mice, time-restricted feeding can improve performance irrespective of what diet type the mice ate. Female mice are most sensitive to change in diet quality or timing. The male mice are less sensitive, but at the same time, male mice are more sensitive to timing and diet in terms of their body weight. So the answer is not that simple, but the answer is there is a huge difference between male and female. Thank you.